Hey guys, how about this way?
Look at each other. All right, let me get it back. Don't worry, we're going to get it back. Hey, touch that film, man. Okay, look at each other. What it feel like?
Can you do it on this side? So you can start.
Hey, is Friday here?
Even what's over here. So
Against Erslandy Lara. In the co-feature, we've got the champion, WBA Super Bantamweight World Champion, defending his title, Akifumi Shimoda, the world champion from Japan, challenging the #1 WBA contender in the world, Rico Ramos. In addition, we've got Arreola, who is doing things that haven't been done for many, many years, and especially in the heavyweight division, especially at this level of boxing, having his 4th fight in a 7-week period. Arreola against Friday Ahunanya, who we all know is a very grizzled, tough veteran heavyweight.
hey man, hey.
In addition, and he's not here right now, I know he's on his way to New York, we're going to have a WBC junior, super featherweight, or actually it's a featherweight championship with Johnny Gonzalez, who just acquired his 2nd world championship, at least the 2nd world championship in a different division. He was 2-time junior featherweight world champion, first time super featherweight world featherweight world champion, and he's fighting Tomas Villa from Texas. I want to thank our sponsors, Corona, been a great sponsor for all of boxing, and it's very much appreciated, and it's why I try to have as many Coronas as I can during the week. My wife doesn't agree with that thinking, though. In addition, Azad Watches, you've seen them off and on throughout the years, sponsoring certain boxing events. They're very much a Paul Williams fan, and they came back and put their name to the sponsor sheet. In addition, I want to thank the New Jersey State Athletic Commission, Aaron Davis, great commissioner. He's done a tremendous job out in New Jersey, and we're looking forward to having him regulate this great event Saturday night. Now, what I'd like to do is introduce a young man, and I keep on saying he's a young man throughout all the years I've known him, because no matter how many years we're together, he will always be a young man to me. He's the Senior VP over at HBO Sports, Kerry Davis. Kerry. Come on, you guys, a bigger applause for Kerry.
I should get that for surviving that rainstorm in Germany. Antonio Margarito, Carlos Quintana twice, Winky Wright, Sergio Martinez twice, Kermit Cintron, and a failed fight against Kelly Pavlik, which didn't happen because of him, but it's one he signed up for. When you think about that list of names, no one has faced a better caliber of competition live on HBO in the last few years than Paul Williams. Suffice to say, Paul Williams is indeed a warrior. And I haven't spoken to him since the loss to Sergio Martinez in his last fight. I've only spoken briefly. But I guarantee you that the warrior to my left if given his druthers, would rather be sitting here for a third fight against Sergio Martinez, because that's the kind of man and that's the kind of warrior and that's the kind of fighter that he is. And that's why we like having Paul Williams fight on HBO, for that single trait alone. Now, he also has terrific boxing skills. And those skills are such that even on a fight where many people would be looking to do an easy comeback fight, he's coming back against a guy who's a former amateur champion, undefeated professional, supremely skilled, 320 amateur fights, former Cuban national champion, captain of the team, favored to win the gold medal in 2008 before his defection to America. In effect, this is no comeback fight. And this says everything you need to know about Paul Williams. We're looking forward to a terrific matchup on Saturday night, right, between Williams and Lara. And again, it's not a comeback fight. It's a fight we're very proud of. On the undercard, we'll feature two guys making their first appearance on HBO. The champion Shimoda is a world-class fighter, and Rico Ramos will have an opportunity against a world-class fighter to really make a name for himself in America. So sometimes fights like this are not just about winning, but it's also about how you win, and it's about making an impression with the fans. And both Shimoda and Ramos will have that opportunity in a division that has a number of good fights down the line. And then finally, the guy to my right, I guess I've never hidden my personal affection for this man. And I'm really glad for him that he's doing the types of things that he's been doing in order to make himself a big factor in the heavyweight division again. I applaud him for his efforts in losing the weight, both from a competitive standpoint and a health standpoint. And we're looking forward to having him back on HBO for Saturday night. We will just be showing highlights of his fight since it was added at the relative last minute. But we look forward to having Chris on HBO in the future, right? And he is certainly someone that the heavyweight division could certainly use. So our start time Saturday night will be 10:15 Eastern and 10:15 Pacific. Again, tune in for a great show, and congratulations to all of the fighters for stepping up for the challenges that they have. And again, I want to thank Dan Goosen and his staff for putting this card together, along with Al Heyman and his staff for again putting together such competitive fights. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Barry. Just two things, Barry. One is I might as well rip up my notes now. You had said everything I wanted to say about Williams and Lara. That was it. And two is you said something that I think every boxing fan, every media member, every network, and quite frankly, the fighters that sit at home watching these fights, that they see broadcast on any medium. And that is, it's not only about getting on TV, but it's about how you win. And I was sitting back Saturday night, and I love our sport. And I want to see our sport succeed. And I want to see every damn fight that's at the major level, especially at the major level, to bring the excitement that, quite frankly, the up-and-coming fighters bring to the ring. And too many times, we've been disappointed. And those thoughts were even more evident when I started thinking about this card here Saturday night. Someone asked me earlier about what type of fight is Paul Williams and Lara going to be? Two left-handers, which usually I guess equates into something that's less than scintillating. And I said one simple thing: Paul Williams comes to fight. There's no way it's ever anything other than excitement in that ring when Paul's in that ring. And that's what HBO and Ross and Kerry have been talking about and what he just referenced here. Because Paul likes to go out there and show how you win. Arreola, same damn thing. I mean, you say whatever you want, saying that it took him a while to get his weight together and rise to the level of elite athlete. He always gave you excitement. He always went out there and gave it everything he had, as much as he could talk, but mostly from a very entertaining aspect of it. You knew he was going to go out there and try to knock out his opponent. And with Shimoda and Ramos, Terry hit the nail on the head. It's their shot to go out there and say, not only am I going to win tonight, but I want to be back on HBO. And I've got to go out there and fight. We get all of our fighters emulating that type of attitude. Nothing will ever compare to a great boxing match. And I applaud our fighters that we have here on the dais right now, speaking that realm. You all come to fight, and we appreciate it as promoters who don't walk in between those ropes, and you accomplishing what you do. You know who you are. So bring me up, and I'm going to apologize to Chris's challenger Friday, Ahunanya, who I've known for many years, but I did not know he was going to be here at this press conference. Otherwise, we'd have tried to make room for him. But he is back at one of the tables in the back. He's here with his manager, Louis Tapia, a fixture in the boxing business for many, many years. And obviously, I want you to give him his chance to be interviewed and discuss about his chance with Chris Arreola. So Friday, you are going to have your opportunity to speak to the press immediately afterwards. I appreciate you coming out, which brings me to Chris Arreola. You know, I mentioned a little while ago that it's his fourth fight in 7 weeks, which, as you know, only the great heavyweights of years gone by ever dared to chew off that many fights in a short period of time. But, you know, in today's world, and I've talked a lot about it with Chris's manager, Al Heyman, and that is that in today's world, to wait around for 1 or 2 fights, I think is a detriment to a fighter's career. And what Chris is doing right now, I think is a new pathway for a lot of elite fighters that realize that it's much better to be in that gym, and while you're in that gym, rather than just staying there for months on end, waiting for that fight every 6 months, you stay busy with other fights. And in this case, that's what Chris has come to the conclusion of. And obviously, we couldn't schedule these type of fights for him without him saying that he wants to do it. He's here with his trainer, Henry Ramirez, who is bodyguarding my wife right now in the back, thank goodness, which happens to be our anniversary also on July 9th, so I appreciate you being here for that. 3 weeks and counting, so I appreciate it. Thank you. No, that's real joke. It's been 17 years. Anyway, what I want to do is have Chris Arreola say a few words. Chris the Nightmare Arreola.
How's everybody doing out here, man? Hope you guys enjoy your food, and I appreciate everybody out here, this media, and it's pretty cool, man. I love fighting, man. As everybody knows, man, I'm a fighter. I'm not a pretty dude, but hey, I love to fight. I'm into the ring. I'm an entertainer, man. That's what we're in here to do. Every one of us, as a boxer, we're entertainers. Everybody pays for the ticket. Everybody pays for the HBO cable bill, and you guys better pay for it, because that puts money in our pockets too. I remember when I used to steal cable and watch all the fights. So, no, but it's an honor, man, and it's time for Friday. This time Friday, and me and Friday on Saturday gonna put on a good show, and that's what I'm here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Well, I got to tell you, they're not a live crowd out there, Chris. You threw off some good zingers out.
And I still don't believe that one person that said I look better in this color than you did. That's not true. You know, and I do want to throw something in on Chris. I think it was very important to get him out here in the East Coast in front of the writers out here and to see how he's, you know, taken the reins of becoming an elite heavyweight. And, you know, when we sat back and I listened to Larry Merchant and I heard some of the comments that he made, they were correct. You hate to hear it, but they were correct. And all I could think about was Chris, because we know what he does in that ring. But one of the things I really want you to take notice of when you come to the fight Saturday night, and like I said, Friday's not going to lay back there. He's got a lot of pride, and as we know, he's very durable and very tough. But I believe what you're going to see Saturday in Chris Arreola is the combinations that were lacking when he was fighting Adamak, when he was fighting Vitaly Klitschko, and when he's got his combinations going and his speed going, he's one of the most devastating heavyweights out there. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in, Chris.
Thank you.
Do you agree with us? Okay. In the opening HBO bout, we are co-promoting this bout with the Champions promoter Taiken Promotions, who's run by Mr. Honda. He's been the leading promoter out of Japan for many, many, many years, and one of the classiest men in the boxing business. As a matter of fact, I'm going to not even go out on a limb. He is the classiest man in the boxing business. Very well respected, very honorable, very ethical, and it's one of the reasons why he's been so successful. He's got his champion, Shimoda, who's the WBA super bantamweight champion, as I mentioned before, who's got a record of 23-2-1 with 10 KOs. And he's given the shot of fighting our #1 WBA bantamweight, super bantamweight contender in Rico Ramos. Rico's got a record of 19-0 with 10 KOs, and he's being trained by his old-time trainer, who just recently came back on board. Very well known out in the Los Angeles area, very capable Steve Jenkins. Steve, congratulations. Gee, I gotta tell you, they must all be eating. Not even a round of applause there, folks. What I'd like to do is have Rico grab that microphone, say a few words to everyone, and what it's like, what your training was like, Rico, and how you're ready to take this title back to America. Rico Ramos.
Thank you. First off, you know, I want to thank God. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. Also, thank brilliant Al Heyman, Sam the Man, HBO. I mean, this is something real big for me.
Please be quiet in the back, please. Go ahead.
This is something real big for me, and we trained too hard for this. And this is my life. I've been training for 16 years for this, and I want to thank Shimoda for giving me this opportunity. Come July 9th, I got to take that belt home with me, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Rico. If everyone could just give, try to keep it down a little so that the fighters can speak, it would be nice, and chew with your mouth closed, please. Well, my mom and dad told me that throughout the years, so I can pass it along to everyone else. The champion, and I wish Mr. Honda was here to be a little bit more convincing of it than I am, but he told me it, and I believe it. He said it's the first time in the history of our sport that a champion from Japan has come to America to defend that title.
there have been Japanese fighters that have come to America that challenge for the world titles, but from what Mr. Honda says, it's the first time a Japanese fighter has ever come to America to defend his title, which would obviously be history, which, you know, not that I find that not to be correct, because it sounds very logical to me. But we appreciate you coming to America, Shimoda, to defend your title. He's got his translator, Nobu Ishishima, who's going to be interpreting for him. And I want to introduce you and give him a great welcome to America, and taking the shot of defending his title on American turf, Akifumi Shimoda.
アメリカで防衛できるのは日本人が初なんですけども、すごい運命を感じて、こういう場に入れて光栄に思います。試合の日は自分の持っている全てをかけて熱く強く戦いたいので、応援よろしくお願いします。必ずベルトを持って帰ります。
It's the first time that the Japanese champion has defended his belt in the United States, and I'm very grateful to be here. And on Saturday night, I plan to put on a heated, exciting fight, and I plan to take the belt home on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Before I get to the main event, one of the side notes I'd like to just inquire about. It's been said, Shimoda, that you were kind of like a problem child growing up, and that many schools kind of moved you out of there to go to other schools, and that's how you kind of took up boxing in junior high school. Would that be accurate?
No, that's not accurate.
Thank goodness, because I was going to say he seems like such a nice young man, but you can always become a nice young man after having problems as a younger kid. When did you start boxing in junior high?
Before I graduated from middle school.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. In the main event, Kerry actually made mention of the great fights that Paul has engaged in throughout the years, taken on every challenge that's been placed in front of him. And, you know, although that a lot of people would like to see Martinez-Williams 3, including Paul and George and ourselves and Al, everything has a course to take before you get there. And certainly in the vein that Paul has traveled throughout his career, taking on this former great amateur world champion is just another indication of taking on a young, hungry lion that understands what's at stake by getting in the ring with Paul Williams and having this opportunity to try to take his reputation away from him. To go further on that, our partner in the main event with the Lara Williams fight is Golden Boy Promotions. And here on behalf of Golden Boy is their president, longtime friend, and certainly a familiar fixture out here in the New York marketplace, David Itzkowitz. David? Oh. Why don't you introduce Kenya?
Yeah. Thanks, Dana. Thank you. You also gave me a promotion. You gave me Oscar's title, which is president, which is much appreciated. Actually, I'm the chief operating officer of Golden Boy Promotions. It's great to be here at a press conference in New York. Want to thank Dan and the entire staff at Goosen Tutor. They're always great to work with. I've known Dan for many, many years. And they're always great to work with. Also want to thank Paul Williams, George Peterson, and their entire team, all the people behind the scenes for this great opportunity for Erslandy. Also Ross and Kerry from HBO, Ken Condon, and Aaron Davis from the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. A few people I want to acknowledge, members of Team Lara, before I introduce the fighter. His assistant trainer, Hinaro Alarcon, who's in the back somewhere. Edward Jackson, his strength and conditioning coach. Miguel Diaz, who is going to serve as the head trainer in the ring this weekend because Lara's head trainer has a previous engagement with a fighter that he was unable to break away from, and that's Ronnie Shields. So his entire camp has been handled by Ronnie Shields, with Miguel Diaz actually taking the reins the night of the fight. Also want to acknowledge and say a few words. Lara's manager, who from my perspective, is kind of like a brother to him. He's kind of like a brother to all the fighters that he represents. That's Louis DeCubas Jr. Louis.
Thank you, David. First off, I want to thank Paul Williams, Al Heyman, everybody for giving this opportunity. I want to thank Golda Boy, Blue Wave, our co-promoter, Dan, and we're ready for this, man. We've been in camp for 8 weeks. We know Paul Williams, everything he's got. He's a relentless fighter, but with being relentless, he's also vulnerable. When it comes July 9th, if he comes with that pace, we think we're going to have a huge surprise. So this is the year of the upsets, and everyone make sure you tune in July 9th.
Thank you, Louis. Kerry, actually, as Dan said, covered a lot of ground with respect to Lara's background. I know if you look at Williams and his resume, it's a pretty impressive one. And Lara, as a professional, doesn't have the experience that Williams has. But what everyone, in just looking at his record, overlooks is that he grew up in the Cuban amateur system, and he was considered one of the best fighters ever to come out of that system. And Kerry mentioned 320 fights. I think it's important to recognize he only lost 10 of them. So he was 310 and 10. So even though he only has 16 professional fights, he's experienced way beyond his years. And going back to when he had about 8 fights, his team was talking world title. So this is a fighter that's experienced beyond his years. He has Cuban national championships, world championships under his belt. This is his opportunity. This is it. I thank Paul for giving him this opportunity, but he's facing the Super Bowl. He's on HBO. He wants to look good. He wants to win, and he's the underdog. And as Louis said, the boxing 2011 has been the year of the underdog thus far, so it's not a bad year to be an underdog. Want to introduce him now, originally from Guantanamo, Cuba, now living in Miami, Florida. He's got a record of 15-0-1 with 10 KOs, Erslandy Lara.
Buenas tardes. Quiero agradecerle a todos, a mi compañía, a mi grupo de trabajo. Hemos trabajado muy duro. Quiero agradecerle especialmente a Paul Williams por darme la oportunidad de hacer la pelea esta. Creo que va a ser una buena pelea el día 9, sábado. Y invito a todos a ver la pelea sin ningún tipo de problema. Muchas gracias.
He said good afternoon to everybody. He wants to thank his whole team. He's had a great training camp. He's worked hard for this fight. He wants to thank Paul Williams specifically for giving him the opportunity to fight on HBO. And he says, it's going to be a great fight, and he's ready to go, man. Everyone come out July 9th. It's going to be a great war.
Thank you very much. Dave mentioned Ken Condon. I did get a message from him just a few moments ago that said that he wouldn't be able to make it on behalf of Caesars. Caesars, who is the host site for this event, has been a tremendous benefactor.
And it seems to me that Paul is being taken lightly because he was stopped in his last fight, and that goes with boxing. But sure enough, Paul is not dead. There hadn't been a funeral yet. I hadn't seen nobody, but anyway, you're gonna see a good fight. And remember, I don't like the term good fight, but you will not go to sleep on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George.
You know, George, you're right, and a lot of people don't realize that, and he's got over 50 fights to prove it. But everyone on that record has got a loss against Paul Williams. And that's what he's about, putting L's out there and coming to the point where if there was a win by anyone, to pin a L back onto him. That's the drive here with Lara. That's the drive here with Paul, to go out there and reestablish himself. I'm one of the terms I didn't like, George, I was surprised you didn't say it, but I'm glad you saved something for me, is what Kerry said, a comeback fight. I don't look at it as a comeback fight, okay? When you're at the levels that Paul's at, the Raiders lose, the Colts lose, the Giants lose, all the greats lose. Okay, it's very seldom do you see anyone in a team sport or individual sport where there isn't a loss on it. So it's not a comeback. It's just a continuation of Paul doing what he does, going out there and taking on the best challenges that are available. I want to bring him up now. We're very proud to be Paul's promoter. I know the years that I've worked with Al Heyman with Paul, they've been.
Hi everybody doing? I would like to say, come July tonight, I know it's gonna be a tough, hard fight. I know Lara, he's looking to, capitalize, on me, make a big. I'm his biggest name that he ever fought, so beating me, that puts him right up there at the top of the list. I know he's a new lion on the block and all that. If you watch the Discovery Channel, a lot of them young lions catch up on the old lions. But this old lion right here ain't ready to leave. So I'm pushing out 100%. And we have to go through the rain and get wet. He will get wet. We have to go through the fire. He will get burnt. I'm coming out of the fight like he coming out of the fight, and I'm gonna make it rough and tough and hard as it possibly can be. If he really wanted and he wanted to prove that he's the best and he's ready to be up on that level, then this is gonna be the biggest test for him, because I'm gonna drag him through the mud. Just like he's gonna try to drag me through the mud. I'm looking for a good, rough, tough, hard fight, like I always. It'll be exciting for the fans and everybody else to see, because I'm gonna be excited to see it. So I'm just wishing the both of us the best. Well, that nobody gets seriously hurt, but somebody get hurt. Thank you.